In late October of 2025, I released a video on my main channel called The Useless Change That Finally Exposed Fnatic. And in this video, I basically said that Poby coming in to replace Humanoid would not fix anything because the problems in Fnatic were much deeper than any individual player change. And I argued that Humanoid was never the problem on Fnatic at all. And I closed out the video with this insanely prophetic epilogue, conclusion, whatever you want to call it here.
To me, it's not a question of if Fnatic's changes before 2026 will lead to better results or improvement in general. I can tell you right now, they won't. So the question isn't, will 2026 be bad for Fnatic, but how bad will 2026 be for Fnatic? If you made it...
I said that. This handsome devil right here said that shit fucking in October of last year, and it could not be more true than today because we just got the results and Fnatic 2026 finished LEC versus in 8th place. Mind you, this is an 8th place finish after they barely qualified to playoffs. Actually, give me 1 second as I pull this up. Please do not lose retention as I look this up. LEC versus playoffs calculator. Now, this is likely going to be impossible to show you guys. It's unfortunately impossible to show you this as a as it was at the time, but there was a point where Fnatic was literally on the final day of the regular season was the least likely to make the playoffs. I think even Shifters had a better chance than them. It was absurd. And they ended up barely squeaking by because Heretics won their crucial game, which then made it that, so I think it was literally guaranteed that Fnatic would make it, and then they get shit stomped by G2 on the final day. So basically, following up on an undeserving playoffs qualification, they now just got O2'd and O2'd in winners and then losers, ending in 8th place. This is horrific for, I'm sure if you're watching a video like this, you probably know Fnatic's history, but for an org this decorated and is supposed to be up there with G2 as a title contender every single split, this has just been a horrific downfall. And mind you, I did think that Vladdy coming in could be promising. You know, I will say that I did say that Oscarinin was not the problem, and it seems like changing him out for Emperor solved fucking nothing. That's besides the point. What do I really want to talk about here? Well, I really want to talk about the fact that I predicted this, what I think is really wrong with this team, and I don't know, we'll go from there. So, one thing. Let's go player by player. Emperos got absolutely fucking gapped by Knock Knocko. Now, yes, does that say a lot about Knock Knocko as a player? Absolutely. But also, I think it says something that it's likely that Knock Knocko hasn't improved so much in just 4 months, right? Because just a few months ago in 2025, Knock Knocko wasn't gapping Oscarinin, but here he is. He had individual gold leads of over 1,000 to 3,000, right? With barely any kills in both of the games he played against Emperos, right? And top lane is very isolated. I don't think this is a, you know, like bad mood issue or anything like that. And I don't remember Oscarinin ever getting gapped by anybody when that happened. I actually make this whole argument, I might have even said this in previous videos on this second channel already, that Oscarinin showed up and was able to outclass Kana. And in the post-game lobby today where Knock Knocko and Humanoid are being interviewed, Knock Knocko did say that he wasn't sure that he was going to be able to gap Kana tomorrow since that's who they're going up against for their final losers bracket appearance before the finals, basically. My point is that, yes, Emperos, I don't want to write him off completely. I actually like his personality a lot. And I think as a top laner, he's doing decent, right? He's not outright horrendous. I think it's, you know, okay that we should give him some time to grow and potentially show more of what he's capable of. But I guess I'm just really mad and I want to feel vindicated because I have defended Oscarinin so many motherfucking times and all these haters have been like, no, he's garbage. He's the worst top laner in the LEC. And I will tell you one thing. I think today he would have showed up better against Knock Knocko. That's my personal opinion. I mean, maybe you would say that he would have inted you know, as he went to create his own leads. I don't know. That's the only sort of comeback that I could expect. Let's skip Razork for a second. Vladdy actually showed a bit of promise. Like he, you know, Vladdy's such a weird case. He kind of started super strong winter 2025, and then ever since has just been slowly on a decline. He's clearly one of the best mids in EU still. You know, I definitely put him above Jackie's, although, you know, he still needs to show up more consistently to be in that Caps conversation, that Humanoid conversation, because Humanoid has shown back up this split. So, you know, but Vladdy is definitely up there in contention with those top guys. And in this series, he was part of the reason why Fnatic was showing any life. Really in every game that I've watched from Fnatic this split, a lot of it has come from Vladdy and Upset. Let's talk about Upset. Upset's part is a little bit more complicated, what I want to say about him, because it gets involved with Razork. But Upset is clearly showing that... so, a little bit of context here. Fnatic had a decision to make at the beginning of the offseason where Razork and Upset expressed that they did not want to work together coming into 2026, right? And Fnatic chose immediately to re-sign and extend with Upset, and they actually pushed very hard to try and get Razork removed. They tried to trade him to GX. They tried to shop him off to Heretics and one or two other teams, and nobody was buying, right? So Razork's stock must have been hella low. Plus, he does have one of the highest salaries. He has the official highest salary on Fnatic now that Humanoid's gone. So he's kind of becoming another payroll issue the same way Humanoid was. Long story short, they committed to Upset. They were trying their best to get rid of Razork, but ultimately could not get rid of him. So instead, they decided to run him. And that is what I think is really causing a lot of the dysfunction on Fnatic. If you guys watch Los Ratones this split, Los Ratones at Velia was constantly invading and trying to make plays either when he didn't have, you know, kind of the teammates' positions to do so, right? His laners weren't pushed up or they were doing other things. He would often get caught, and if his teammates weren't able to rotate, he would often die. I think Razork is only a step above Velia in that regard because he's constantly trying to make early game plays, but he's usually not kind of creating enough of a lead, right? In some cases, he's over-forcing, and really, that's a whole nother subject for another day. The biggest problem is that he's on a team with Upset. Razork is really the problem with Fnatic, and they do this every single year when they build teams, is they build teams where everybody wants to carry, right? Oscarinin is more of a carry top laner than he was a weak side top laner, right? And he's always trying to find leads in his own lane. Razork is a carry jungler. He was most comfortable in the 2024 meta with Brand and AP junglers and just junglers that play for themselves and gather resources, right? When they aren't being called to run around the map to be the dog for everybody else, that's when he's at his best. But he's playing with Vladdy, who Vladdy struggled with Yike because Yike wasn't able to sacrifice his resources when they were on KC together, and yet he... This part confuses shit out of me. I will give Fnatic the credit. Vladdy did express that he was excited to work with Razork, but I feel like, I don't know if it's just because I'm not a pro or whatnot, but from my perspective, I knew that was going to be a terrible matchup, and that's why I also said in my previous video that I knew that Razork and Caps would not function well together either, because obviously Caps is probably going to be decent at getting his jungler ahead, as we can see with Skumon and Yike over these last few years, but the problem is... Sorry, I'm like fucking flying here. The problem is that Razork does not know how to sacrifice his resources for the mid laner, right? So that was already dysfunctional. We already saw the dysfunction with Upset and Razork. As again, Upset is another demanding AD carry that wants the team to play for him. You got too many cooks in the kitchen. Everybody trying to do different things, gather their resources. Upset is also... Granted, when he has a great support like Mickey X or Hylissang, he is capable of being lane dominant and kind of like that Hansama style where like he gets a solo kill and then just kind of, you know, continues to build off of that lead. But Upset is also, and I would argue, more comfortable at being that old school reckless style AD carry where if the game is stable, or even if it's not stable, if you just let him get his items, he is going to late game carry. I'm a big Upset defender, fan, etc. And honestly, last year, 2025, with, again, Razork and Upset on the same team, Upset would constantly actually go for plays, right? Especially because I think Mickey would go for plays. So Razork could go in too deep. He'd get Mickey to fully commit with him. Upset would commit to with him, and he actually said that in interviews too. I believe he was either trying to, lead with a new style, right? Because he was usually known as the KDA guy who stayed really far back in fights. But last year, I don't really think that was the case. I think Upset was really, doubling, tripling down with his over-aggressive jungler to, make his over-aggressive jungler feel supported, and it never paid off. Fnatic did horrible last year. This year, I can see Upset is clearly playing his more comfortable style where he's playing behind, but it literally, this team should have never been assembled and extended into this year, because you can see Razork continues to overforce, continues to go too deep, dying for no reason, burning crucial cooldowns like flash, ultimates, etc. For kind of like stupid picks when there's no objectives to fight for, and Upset is just hanging back, dude. Literally, God, I actually want to take the time to find this clip because this was so obnoxious. Who did they just play? Fnatic versus... Who do they play? Navi. Let me see if I can pull this up super fast. I'm not going to actually pull it up because it's just to find the individual moment will be really difficult. But I am pretty sure that there was this moment where Razork, they're fighting by the red buff, and he goes in as Jin Zhao. Nobody's with him. He goes into one guy, overforces, and all of Fnatic die for no fucking reason. Upset's the only one who lives because he's so far back in the fight. Because Razork had to use so many spells to make so much distance that if Upset were to do the same, he would die. These two need to be separated. I literally think we should be seeing a Sheep Esports article in no time of them attempting to get rid of Razork. The problem is, I don't know if they're going to find a jungler in the ERLs. They're most certainly not going to find a jungler in the LEC right now, most likely. The dumbest thing, and I swear to God, this is so Fnatic coded, I could totally see this, is that they make an offer to Velia and they sell or bench Razork. And that, by the way, would make no fucking progress. That would literally be the same problem, except you're actually downgrading your jungler. You have the same jungler with the same strengths and weaknesses, just a less skilled version. And I fucking guarantee you they don't see that. What makes me laugh about this on top of everything is that Razork was shopped around to Team Heretics, and Heretics was trying to do a trade, right? And Fnatic was fucking with hubris and arrogance. We're like, no, we're not interested in any of your players. When Shio was right there for the taking. I have him over here. Look, check this out. Wait, where is it? Right here. Dude, I have been hyping up Shio a lot. This dude is so fucking goated at enabling the rest of his team. This video is not necessarily about Heretics, but Shio and Stend, Shio's really good at connecting with a support. He's really good at getting an AD carry ahead, like Crowny and Ice in BDS. You know what I mean? And his solo laners like Adam and Nuke. Dude, you throw Shio, who I've literally called in previous videos Baby Yankos. If I was editing my videos, I would definitely pull the quote where I've said that before. You plug in Shio or a supportive style jungler into this roster, and this roster explodes. You give Upset what he needs. You give Vladdy what he needs. Shio knows how to sacrifice. Shio's also super good at prioritizing dragons, which, dude, Fnatic is so fucking embarrassing. Dude, they had... before today, 0% first dragon take, and 11th or 12th. I want to say that I took a screenshot of this. Unfortunately, I don't have it offhand. But their screenshot was 12% in dragon percentage, or they were the 12th place team in dragon percentage, first dragon take. Herald take was 11th out of 12th, and they were 12th in whatever other thing it was, whether it's neutral objectives or whatever. It's a pathetic team, dude. The only credit that I will give Fnatic is that they were really good in the late game at still trying to make comebacks, and it felt like plot armor, it felt like just sheer veterancy or something, right? But I have to give Razork his credit, as well as Vladdy and Upset, of course, that they somehow found opportunities to make, kind of monumental comebacks, even despite being down dragons, even despite being down massive amounts of gold, they would still figure out really good positions and make miracle comebacks. Because that was every single one of their 5 wins in the regular season was miracle comebacks. None of them were good macro League of Legends or whatever. I want to talk about one other person, Laspa, which it is kind of sad. So something of a Korean import, although I believe he was playing in the ERLs and his English is exceptional. If you ever watch any Fnatic behind the scenes. Laspa has been a fantastic pickup, but I'm sure it doesn't feel good that they were initially trying to get June desperately, and once they couldn't get him, they settled for Laspa. Now, that being said, Laspa has been a fantastic pickup, in my opinion. I never see him making mistakes like I see many other support players making, so I never feel like he's the problem. And actually, many times I feel like he is caught out, and then he manages to turn the play and get the rest of Fnatic into a good position in late game team fights or even in the mid game. So Laspa has been fantastic. I really think maybe you replace Emperos, but again, it's a little too early to tell. And also, what are the other top lane options that are available? Maybe you try and get Oscar Rinnen back, considering that I think he's still a free agent, but they probably burned their bridge there. I don't know, but Fnatic likes to kick players like Upset and then fucking sign them back later, so who knows? Same thing with Reckless. Maybe you try to get Oscar back. I really genuinely think that would at least be an immediate improvement. And I think, man, you just try to get rid of Razork, dude. I'm telling you, I told you guys this when he was together with Humanoid. Everybody was like, oh, Humanoid's a paycheck stealer. Humanoid's a paycheck stealer. We tried playing for Razork. It didn't work. The best we got was 2024, some second place finishes. When we play for Humanoid like they did in Mad Lions 2021, you win championships and do well internationally. So again, it's like if you put Shio here and you play for Vladdy, you might win a championship like KC did in winter. If you play for Razork, you get 8th place. Now, granted, they're not necessarily playing for Razork. They actually are like kind of trying their best to play for bot. I also think, I mean, it's yet to be seen, but I do think that this is also a problem. Vladdy and Upset playing together. I don't think that also functions. I think Upset is just a really demanding AD carry. And so is Vladdy. The problem is like if one of them could play more of a weak side and still be relevant in the late game, that would be something. But I think they both are at their best when they have all the resources to themselves, including jungle and support attention. There's other things that I want to talk about, like Grabs' interview recently and my frustrations there, which I'm going to keep that for a separate video. The only other thing I want to bring up is how fucking hilarious it is. And this is a whole other topic again for another video. But I am so unbelievably happy that Vitality is doing so well. For a number of reasons. I actually really like Knock now, especially. Linkus I've liked, although I was a little disappointed with him last year, but he's really stepped up, really stepped up this year. I've liked Humanoid for a long time, and I've loved Carzzy for a long time. This team showed the fuck up. I literally think they should have beat MKOI. That's a whole other video I wish I made, which was fucking Chrono Break Gate, or I wanted to call it Chrono Gate. I wasn't sure if people were gonna get that. That game, MKOI versus Vitality game 1, was literally MKOI's game. I'm sorry, was literally Vitality's game, and then they had the last minute Chrono Break, and then Vitality lost all their momentum. Obviously, it's a huge controversy. If you watch Yamato Cannon or Cage will go over it. Again, I mean, if there's interest, I'll make a video, but who knows? It's kind of like, it's been a few days now. But basically, in that game, they should have Chrono Breaked. If they Chrono Breaked when the bug actually happened, then Mirwin would have been dead, and likely the play wouldn't have been much better after the Chrono Break. Maybe Jojo Pune and Supa survive, but also knowing them and how MKOI likes to brute force and overcommit to fights, they probably would have still died all the same, and Carzzy would have probably gotten out. I am ridiculously happy that Humanoid's being vindicated. Humanoid did an interview that I kind of want to comment on later, where he said that one of the problems in Fnatic is that they are always, kind of just because of the name Fnatic, are always expected to win championships, even when the people, the players on paper are not a championship level team, but yet Fnatic still expects them to be. I'm sure he's referencing a roster like Oscar, Razork, him, Noah, June, right? Noah and June are great, but are they, who we expect to actually win the LEC? I'm not sure, and considering that was sort of Humanoid's mentality, I think it's really impressive that they were the consistent second best team in 2024. That's a whole other story. I am super happy. Humanoid, clearly his mental health is so much better. Of course, a lot of that comes down to reuniting with Carzzy and just the general vibe. But I think it's like here, Humanoid is actually able to have his personality of being way more lax and chill actually be embraced without being overly criticized. like it probably was in Fnatic, where it appeared like he didn't care, but in reality he was just trying to keep the mood tranquil instead of getting like, you know, completely down in the dumps and mental boom after every single loss. I'm really, really happy. He is shining so brightly. His macro's been exceptional. His micro, his mechanics have been exceptional. Nako obviously has been a massive standout. I mean, a just unbelievable standout today. I guess tomorrow's going to be the true test versus Kana to see if he can continue to at least, you know, create some sort of advantage. If not, overall, just like gap him or whatever. I don't know if that's going to be super likely, but we will see. Carzzy actually is the one player that I feel like has been a little bit more low-key. Last year in 2024, Carzzy was just like so exceptional that it was like, damn, it sucks that he's on Vitality. But now when he kind of has the great pieces around him, I don't know if he's getting lazy or what, but I really would like to see him step up a little bit. But, you know, honestly, given that Humanoid, Linkus, and Nako are doing so exceptional, you know, I think it's all right that he's taken a bit of a step back. And Fleshy's been really good, dude. Like, and honestly, I think a lot of people are like, well, yeah, how hard is it to look good on a good team? But it is not always that easy, right? I think, you know, I look at other players on other teams and I see flaws and I see mismatches. I don't know if it was good scouting or what, but Fleshy has really shown that he's LEC capable, found a good synergy with Carzzy, and found a good synergy with the rest of the team as he makes great plays on the map. So this has been a really, really exciting team for me. I'm super happy about it. And yeah, I think tomorrow they're going up against KC. I think that is going to be one of the spiciest matchups of these losers matchups. Well, it's really two. The other one is GX versus who's the other team? What is it? GX versus Heretics? No, they played today. What the hell am I can't remember. I'll look it up in a second. Anyway, I think I haven't really kept up with KC too closely, to be completely honest with you. Where are they? I haven't kept up with Carmine Corp too closely. One thing that I really don't like about them is that they have a Korean mid and a Korean top. That it bothers me so much that they want to be a top team. I don't care about Busio. I love Busio. I love having a North American top talent like that. That's awesome. Keep him here. Happy, really happy. But why did we replace Vladdy with a Korean mid? That fucking sucks. I hate that. I already didn't like that Kano was the top laner. And I know that I get always so like insecure about this because I'm always like, does it make me sound problematic? It's not about like obviously their race or anything like that. It's just the fact that, you know, why I loved watching EU. I get this question all the time. Why do I watch the LEC instead of the LCS? Because the LCS is comprised of so many imports that what pride am I supposed to have as a North American fan when my team is comprised of imports? What is so cool about that? I don't want to see a freaking, you know, LCK mid representing us at first stand. I want to see an EU mid showing that we can compete against Korea and China. That's the cool part. So, I mean, that's just a little personal bias of mine. That's really why I get so frustrated watching KC and why I don't care so much. I also think Kalista is a little overhyped. I know he's great, but I kind of feel like, I don't know, I'm like, after that first split where like they kind of showed that one clip of him like literally tracking like the amount of mana that the enemy like mid laner had or something in a particular outplay when he was on Draven. I feel like I haven't seen much else of Kalista like absolutely popping off, and it kind of bothers me that like on G2 apparently the rumor is that they've been promising Caps that they're gonna get Kalista as soon as he's a free agent, and I'm like, is Kalista that much better than Hansama? I don't know. It's just a little crazy to me. Point is, obviously, KC is very good, but I could see them giving, because I haven't watched all of their games, unfortunately. They're probably the top team that I have watched the least amount of games of. They give me like Rogue vibes, where it's like very like, we're good at best of ones, we're good at like, you know, when things are simple, but maybe things are going to fall apart when things get more chaotic. The game against G2 were fucking insane, but anyway, whatever. This is actually, I think, a lot closer than people realize. I'm a little bit hesitant to overhype Vitality because of how kind of hesitant they were to be cocky in the post-game lobby today. It seems like they're like, no, Fnatic is just shit and we got a lucky draw. But, you know, when it comes to KC and G2, maybe they're a little bit more intimidated. But they showed up so well against MKOI that I'm kind of like, I don't know, I thought they'd be better. In my opinion, they are like the 5th best the 5th place team, or even 4th place right now, because it's really G2, MKOI, KC, and then I think it's Vitality, unless I'm missing someone obvious. I don't think I am, because I think Na'Vi is a step just below them. I think Na'Vi is great. I'm literally bouncing all over the place. What do I really want to close this out with? Who played today? Heretics played against Giant X, and honestly, I feel like, I don't know, man. I just don't care for Giant X all that much. This is very like personal. Don't have too much technical things to say about this. I just think like they really just feel like a 5th place team. They got 5th all of last year, literally winter, spring, and summer, with this exact same group of 5. Although I can't remember if Isma was there the whole time, because I feel like it was closer there. He might not have been. Whatever. Wait, now I really want to look this up. Hold up. Giant X. Oh my god. Giant X tournament results. Didn't they have a different in winter? Yeah, they had closer. I was right. Yeah, in 2025 winter, they had closer, or closer, however you want to say it. And then they had Isma. So, you know, but look, literally, 5th place winter playoffs, spring playoffs, summer playoffs. Oh, this freaked me out for a second. I'm like, did they get eliminated? No, this is the regular season. So yeah, 5th place team. So I don't know that, you know, Giant X really has the X factor to kind of take them over into the top 4. I would definitely put Vitality over them. I don't know if I'm being unfair to Giant X. They're not a team that I've watched too closely, but I just don't see it. They are good, but it feels like a gatekeeper more than anything. Tomorrow's games are going to be, it's, again, like I said, Vitality versus KC. That is a tough one. That is a tough matchup. I think it's slightly Carmine Corp favored, but I personally will be rooting heavily for Vitality. I really hope they beat KC. Really hope they beat KC. Literally, it's so funny. The players that I care about on KC are Yike. I want Yike Kalist, and a little bit of Busio to be happy. But overall, I don't have any affiliation with Carmine Corp, so I don't do a shit. The last one here is Na'Vi. So Na'Vi's going to be playing up against Giant X. And honestly, this team has been so fucking impressive. And honestly, you know what's so funny is that, I don't know, for whatever reason, I literally don't mind Poby and Samdi here. I actually really like them. I don't know if it's just because Navi's like feels like a little bit of an underdog org that I'm okay with them having imports or whatnot. But to me, Mainter has been a phenomenal top laner. Not necessarily top of the top, but has definitely been LEC level and very impressive. Raylich, dude, this guy has actually been a phenomenal jungler. I would love to do a ranking soon because he like belongs, and I think he's a big reason why this team is functioning. Samdi's been fantastic, and Paris really feels more comfortable, even though when things go bad, he does also start to look way worse. But that's besides the point. I think my read on Na'Vi is this. Na'Vi is so evidently a team where like this is literally an individual top laner, an individual jungler, an individual mid laner, and an individual bot lane. This is not a cohesive team. Now, that's impressive in one way because they are like Mainter's getting leads almost independently. Raylich gets the freedom because everyone else is functioning to just do his thing independently, and then he's so good at jungle that he creates his own leads. Same thing with Poby. Poby, literally, Caps has given him the credit to be even more impressive than Jojo Pune and Vladdy, for example. Poby is creating leads against Humanoid and Vladdy all the time, right? And Jojo Pune, so I give Poby a lot of credit here. And then Samdi and Paris have constantly been really good in the bot lane. So that's why I think all of these players are fantastic, and it's actually super unique that they're so strong individually, because usually, like I said in the Fnatic example, usually strong individual players want resources for themselves, but this is the unique scenario where everybody's self-sufficient. And that is, I mean, I can't tell you how unique that is. The fact that everybody is so self-sufficient on this team is a good thing. The problem is they don't really feel like they come together super cohesively. Yes, a lot of times, like, because again, the individual pieces of this team are creating winning lanes, right? Getting waves pushed and things like that. Yes, then everybody can rotate to like a dragon play, for example, and that's awesome. But it doesn't feel like these players are willing to sacrifice their own resources in order to rotate. Not necessarily that they're not willing to, but it's just that, you know, in late game, they tend to fall apart, and it seems to be because they kind of feel like a solo queue team where everybody's doing their own thing. But in terms of synergy, they are, like, it feels like Navi, if you guys are following what I'm saying, are basically, it's like if you could put a number to everybody, right? It's like, this is a 5 out of 5, 5 out of 5, 5 out of 5, whatever. 5 times 5, this team is worth 25 points, right? Whereas if you take a team like, I don't even know who I would use as an example. Let's just say MKOI, even though I'm not picking them for any particular reason. But if you take a team like MKOI, right, and you say like, yeah, these guys are like 4s or 5s or 3s out of 5 or whatever, but when you put them together, they are greater than the sums of their parts. I realize now as I'm talking that I just like mansplained or like really like dumbed down a very easy concept to understand. But I just think that, you know, there are teams that are greater than the sum of their parts, and that is not Navi. Navi is exactly worth what their parts are. Now, again, you could put these parts on different teams and they might not find as much success because they might not have the capability to play such like isolated play styles, right? Like Raylich might be called to be more of a dog in a different team or whatever. So they are functioning, and that's awesome, but I do think they're going to hit a glass ceiling faster than other teams because synergy is always going to outweigh individual performance, in my opinion. The only pro that I will say is that clearly they have a very good game plan when it comes to dragons. They have the highest first Drake percentage, and I think overall Drake percentage in the league right now. And it's clearly a winning strategy, although it seems to be that now that other teams are figuring out how to exploit it, or they're also understanding that that's such a high priority strategy that's winning, like Fnatic today, who started to prioritize dragons for the first time in the whole split, and it's actually turned into some level of success. Basically, it's a low-key exploitable strategy once everybody else figures it out, but it goes to show that there is some strategy behind their team. That comes from their one of their coaches. I forget his name. It's so while I'm talking about it, it's so funny that I was just telling my girlfriend today that I usually don't like when like professors lecture and just like expect the students to like, you know, keep up with everything that they're saying. But unfortunately, just because, you know, I am the way that I am and I want to get this video out, I'm literally lecturing without like cohesive shit, like visuals and stuff like that, or a script for you guys to follow. Anyway, this is current Navi, I believe, assistant coach, Go21. I don't know where that name comes from, but basically he was the coach for BDS in 2023 when it was, you know, like the Shio, Crowny, Labrov, Nuke, Adam roster. And apparently that team was big on taking Drakes. And Shio currently on Heretics is also very good at prioritizing objectives and taking Drakes. So he probably is, you know, keeping that from his time working with Go21. And now Navi, with Go21 as one of their coaches, is embracing that playstyle as well. And it's gotten them to where they are now. I take back what I said about Carmine Corp. Navi is probably the better example of a rogue style best of one team that might get exploited as they go through playoffs. I actually am more invested in Navi and like Navi. So for the storytelling, I will definitely be rooting for them above Giant X, surprisingly. My last few opinions, I think Isma is just like too exploitable of a jungler, even though I should probably change my opinion on that because he's clearly not the same like level 3 ganker that he was in 2024. He's obviously improved, but he just doesn't feel like he's able to like scratch to like top of the table. That's what it feels like. It feels like these guys are like all B+, with like June being like the A level, or, you know, specific standout player. But the rest seem to just be like those middle of the pack, what do you call it? Like middle of the pack gatekeepers. Because, you know, imagine if this team were to break up. Do you think like Jackie's going to get a call from Fnatic, or, you know, even Vitality at this point now that they're more of a top team? Same thing with Isma or Lot, right? No, they'd probably get a call from the ERLs or another like team at Giant X's level. Whereas, you know, I think with Navi, it's like, you know, I could see Fnatic obviously picked up Poby in the first place. I could definitely see them begging for Raylich, which I don't think would fix Fnatic's problems, because again, he hasn't shown to be a dog jungler, which is what Fnatic needs. I could see them looking for Mainter, right? I think the individual skill levels of these Navi players are better. So maybe it'll come down to individual performance versus the cohesion of Giant X, since likely Giant X, having worked together for years, we'll have some better synergy. Anyway, Jesus Christ. I hope I made a cohesive point in this video. I really, I'm going to do a little last 5 minute, I mean, maybe not 5 minutes. I tend to overthink these videos a lot, and I just want to talk. I just want to talk about the LEC because I fucking love it. I obviously want to also get to a point. Right now I'm working a full-time job, and that's why it's not as easy for me to watch all the LEC games and, make a shit ton of videos. If I had all the free time in the world, I would still struggle, because I have obviously struggled in the past, but I think it would be way better if I had like a ton of free time, and that's the goal. The goal is to, while I'm working this full-time job, get to a point where this channel is making money, and then I can pivot, maybe towards the second half of this year, to fully committing to YouTube, and then I can make more, more graphics and more highly edited videos, and more videos more frequently and stuff like that, and with scripts and more cohesion, like I really would like to. So, that's really what I want to do. I hope you guys enjoy, and if you made it this far, I mean, you're probably already subscribed, but please don't forget to subscribe. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by my birthday, which is, I don't know if I should reveal it, but it's in March, and, it'd be really, really nice if we could hit that. So, anyway, because the goal is to get monetized. All right, I literally drank coffee. It's fucking like 7:30, 8 o'clock. I'm going to regret this because I'm not going to be able to sleep, but I'm glad I did this. One take. Fuck yeah, dude. All right. Peace out, everybody. Thank you so much. New video tomorrow. New video tomorrow. Marty Supreme. New video tomorrow. Marty Supreme. Marty Supreme. New video tomorrow.